Hey guys, I'm Marissa.
And I'm Sam, and this show is about serial killers, urban legends, ghost stories, and horror movies.
On this show, we're going to swear, spoil movies, and talk about fucked up shit.
Thank you for tuning in. Our episode today is The Iceman.
So I think we should probably get into who we are and why
Yeah.
we're doing this.
That sounds good. Perfect.
So as I said before, my name is Marissa, and Sam and I are sister-in-laws, although it seems like we're just sisters.
Yes.
And I'll let Sam describe a little bit too, but I pretty much describe our relationship as we were such good friends that it was weird she was dating my brother, and I still kind of can't get over that fact. It still seems like she was a friend of mine that met my brother afterwards, but that's not at all how it went, and we've just pretty much been inseparable about really weird, creepy things to talk about ever since then.
Hell yeah. And actually, today I've been with Michael for 9 years.
Wow, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
That's a long time to be with my brother. Good for you for hanging in there.
Yeah, it's so
That's
crazy.
a long time. Coming up on a decade.
I know, I feel old as shit, so...
That means we've also known each other for 9 years, so happy anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary!
It's the 9-year anniversary of our friendship. We're starting a podcast together.
Oh, see, this is perfect. Excellent.
Yeah, this is great. So we pretty much have just always loved true crime and horror movies and trying to watch things that scare us, and this just made perfect sense for us.
Yes, and we're just doing what we normally do, but now we're recording it, so... So I guess this leads us to our first question. Did you know anything about Richard Kuklinski before you started doing, research?
Yeah, I did not, shockingly, and I've listened to a lot of murder podcasts in the past, and I've watched a lot of episodes of 48 Hours and all those kind of, ID Discover shows. I've watched a lot of those, and I surprisingly had never heard of him, but when I got into it, I'm surprised that I hadn't heard of him. I guess, it was definitely before our time, but still, you would think that you would have come across his name one way or another. Did you know about him?
I really didn't. I'm pretty sure, the My Favorite Murder Girls talked about him, most likely, but I binged binged their show, so, a lot of the episodes kind of blended in together. Because, the Iceman, it did sound familiar to me, but, the story didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even know why they called him the Iceman. I never heard of him. When I turned on the doc that I watched for the first time, it was the first time I ever saw his face. So this is completely new to me, which is why over the past week we've been joking about the college essay that I wrote on this man. And for the listeners, if you ever see our notes one day, Sam went into a full Pepe Sylvia moment from It's Always Sunny, and she might as well have had things scattered on her wall, and I was sitting here diligently taking notes for an essay and a class project.
If this
very,
was a
very
class,
different styles.
If this was a class, you got an A and I got a D. Because it looks like I wrote it on, a napkin with crayons.
I was the one that came in with the bulletin board, and you had, a sticker in the corner, and you're like, here, I worked all night on this sticker. No, but very different styles, and teacher. And as you will see from... as you're going to hear from what we talk about, I did much more of the factual research, where Sam went down a crazy conspiracy rabbit hole, which is very common for Sam, and you will get used to listening to this. But in the best way, because it'll be completely different than what I had, so I think you're going to end up hearing two different versions of the Iceman in this podcast.
I know. Well, so, that's the craziest thing about this, and I think it's a perfect, one to start with, because... there's literally, like, two completely different stories, like, around this guy. And I love that we each found, like, we didn't each go with the same take. Like, we kind of went our own ways, and, like, we did not do that on purpose at all. It was
no,
like you said, personalities led us into different directions.
Yeah.
But so you went off of that HBO doc, right?
Yeah, so I ended up just clicking on the first thing that I saw, which turned out to be 3 separate HBO docs that were just kind of morphed into one gigantic YouTube video. And I will say to whoever decides to watch this, it doesn't get as gruesome until I would say probably the second or third doc. I'm not sure. I feel like it's the third. No, maybe it's the second one. One of them just starts showing dead bodies, like real shots of dead bodies. And I was like, oh my god, now I know I had to confirm that I was going to watch this on YouTube. Like, they made me hit, like, a confirm button. And it's super dark. It's dark, and, you know, they describe something, and then it's just, like, a flash of a dead body. And I was like, okay. So, once I finished watching that, I did a couple different, like, website searches, but that's where I came into the issues of things not matching up, which I think you'll have a lot to talk about with that. But, you know, we obviously can get into that. But it is strange that the doc is so different than what's out there to the public online.
Yeah, I think it deviates, yeah, for sure. It's like, how much of it is the truth? How much of it is real? It's like,
yes.
But, like, we can just start from beginning if you want. Like, where, like, who even is the Iceman? Who are we talking about? Who the fuck? What are we doing?
So if it's okay with you, I wanted to read a quote really quick that the...
you can hear the papers.
Down quotes.
Yes, exactly.
I look like I'm about to do a broadcasting system, remember from The Office when Aaron's like, I'm Aaron Hannon. That's what I feel like I'm about to do here. So Assistant Attorney General Robert, and I wrote down his middle initial, it was J, Carroll. He was one of the people that talked a lot and throughout the docs, and I just thought this was such an eerie quote about a serial killer. So this guy says, Richard Kuklinski is not a serial killer, which I guess technically he is, but I digress. He's not a drug-crazed wild man running around with a machine gun. He's not a person that's driven by perverse sexual desires. He doesn't drink. He doesn't gamble. All of these which many persons that are involved in killing and murders are often motivated by. Richard instead is nothing more than a predator on human beings. His motivation is greed, and his method of murder is very varied and very extreme. And I think that is so creepy. We can definitely get into it, but I have a whole subsection of notes here about how I don't necessarily agree that he wasn't driven by some sort of sexual desire, because I think if you're this much of a sicko, you 100% have a sexual thrill or something from doing this. Like, there's just no way around it. But that sentence to me, you know, that he's just a predator on human beings, is that this dude was just, that's exactly it. He's like like an alien that was born human, and he has, quote, no emotions, and he just killed people, and that's disgustingly scary that those people exist in our world.
I know. Like, I actually was kind of skimming your notes, and, like, it's hard not to...
Good luck.
But, like, no, it's hard not to talk about a serial killer and not, like, start doing research about, like, oh god, I'm beating the shit out of my mic here, but, so, like, and not to... like, start thinking about, like, what makes a serial killer? Like, what makes somebody, like, not have any feelings?
Right.
Or, like, he doesn't have any remorse, or so he says, and it's
exactly. And I guess we can get into his childhood a little bit. Now, did you get into his childhood in your researches at all? Did you find any type of information? So, we can do this one of two ways. We can go the way that and I'm quoting here, the factual way, because, again, this was only something, and I think it's funny that we had two different ways of researching, because I am a very gullible person in the sense that, like, I saw him say it once, and it's gotta be true, and you're like, fuck that, I'm gonna go online, and I'm gonna read every insert I've ever heard about this guy, and debunk everything, which is great, because I think when one person's super gullible, it's good to bring the other person back like that. So why don't you tell me what you got, and then I'll kind of check it against my facts here, per se, and we'll see what we kind of came up with for his childhood and how he became this sicko.
Yeah, and even, like, with me debunking stuff and whatever, like, I'm not saying he didn't kill people, because he definitely did, but, like, I'm sure a lot of people, well, I feel dumb that we didn't know anything about this, and this has been probably talked about for a really long time, but,
Right.
like, anyway, I feel like I keep going on tangents, but we can, look, like you said, we could start with, like, because he really did grow up in a super fucked up family, which,
He did.
like, knowing people who are, like, have problems, like mental health issues, that's a huge play in there. Like, if you have abusive parents, if you have, like, a really tough home life with, like, neglect, and his mother was super strict, from what I read. She was, like, very religious, very strict. His father beat the crap out of them, and it was, like, this really sad home life, which you see over and over that really does feel into, like, they just continue that trend where it's like, oh, my parents beat me, now I'm gonna be that way.
Yeah. Well, so I think that, and I had a sub note here to ask you. He grew up in a low income housing project, and I think that a lot of people use that. Not an excuse is the right word, but a lot of people use that as an excuse to be, like, kind of shitty people. Like, oh, I grew up, I had a bad life. But from my personal experiences and the people that I know in my life, like, you can come from a shitty area, but it's about who you become. It's not about, like, where you came from. It's like who you turn that into. That being said, I think coming from poverty coupled with having insanely abusive parents, lack of love as a child, which actually the psychiatrist that interviews him in the last doc I watched, it's almost verbatim what he said. You couple all that together, you just have the perfect making for a serial killer. I mean, you're it's like when you breed a dog, you're just raising them to be vicious creatures. And we'll get into it a little bit later, but, there's another member of this family that was talked about, and I just think that whole family should not have existed. They should never have had kids, and they clearly, not responsible is the word, but they clearly weren't meant to have children if they were going to treat them this way.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to ask you about, if you came across, anything about his older brother, Richard's older brother, Florian.
So what I did read about it was, like, his dad ended up beating him to death. Like, he fucking killed him.
Yeah. So I think that's interesting because I watch this whole doc, right, almost 2 hours, and they never once mentioned Florian. Not once, ever. And they mentioned how his father was super abusive, how he beat him, how he beat his mother, but never anything about Florian. So I thought that was so interesting. That was one of the first things I came across when I was Googling him, and it was like, how did his older brother die? And I was like, what older brother? I haven't heard any of this. And it's super gruesome. I mean, he beat him to death, and then he, like, told the cops that he fell down the stairs, which I feel like shitty on those cops for not doing a full investigation, because you can clearly tell when someone falls down. Like, so they have blood splatter, like, analysts. Like, that's like a job that people do. Obviously it was a different time back then, but I feel like that was covered up way too easily, just from what I read.
I know. I guess, like, from what I was seeing about that interview, like, the HBO documentary, like, they really interviewed him for, like, I don't know, there was, like, a crazy amount of, like, where they sat down and actually talked to him. So I'm not sure if they, like, left it out for a reason. It could have been, like, a journalistic decision to be like, okay, we're kind of focusing on his murders. I don't know. I'm not, like, making excuses for the documentary. Because, like, I don't know if they were really doing, like, a deep dive into, like, his early life.
Family.
Yeah. Because even, like, I was reading that he would, like, go around and, like, kill homeless people and, like, practice killing when he was younger. Which, I don't even know if that's true, but... Yeah. It's like, did he say that in the documentary?
Yeah, so that was one of the huge discrepancies I found right away, too. I mean, when he talks about killing someone for the first time, I think think in the doc they say he was 18, and it was like a guy at a bar that pissed him off, and he ended up murdering him. But when you research him, it actually says that at age 13 he committed murder on a kid named Charlie Lane, who was the leader of this gang, in his city called the Project Boys, which sounds like they were a bunch of kids. He was 13. And when you research it, it's super gruesome. He beat him to death with a wooden dowel, pulled out all of his teeth, and cut off his fingertips with a hatchet in order to like throw cops off like his scent. I mean, if that's true, why wouldn't they have talked about that in the doc? I mean, this guy confesses to just numerous gruesome things, but yet, like,
I know,
so that's another one I came up with. I don't know why that's so different than him saying that at 18 he killed someone in a bar.
Which honestly, both of those things are pretty likely. He seems really unhinged. Like,
yeah,
the vibe I was getting was that, honestly, that he's like kind of this gross, like, sleazy dude that doesn't really mind like killing and stealing money. And
yeah, so one of the things that I read for the time that he actually killed the first person, he said, I don't know exactly where it is. It's something along the lines of that's the first time he realized that it was better to give than receive. So it was like, he had this really shitty home life, and his dad and even his mom beat him, is what he said, with objects like brooms. So I guess the first time he kind of fought back to these kids was the first time he realized, like, hey, I don't have to put up with this shit anymore. And that's when I think this all kind of started for him. And sorry, just to go back for a second, the psychiatrist that he interviewed at the end had said that he had, I don't know where the hell I put it, but he showed symptoms of, I can't find the freaking note on it now.
I actually wrote this down. Yeah,
I don't know why I can't.
Right. Antisocial personality disorder and paranoid personality disorder.
Yes, thank you. So, and one of the things that they look for in that in children is when at a young age when they abuse animals. And this kid, was just a sicko. What did he say? He tied cats' tails together and threw them over clotheslines until they, like, attacked each other to death. And I remember him even saying in the doc, like, yeah, I don't know, I didn't stick around to watch. Like, how sick is that? You're just doing it to cause pain on another creature.
No, but, like,
and then
I feel like we keep kind of dancing around what I'm going to talk about, which is, like...
Okay, let's hear it.
How much of this can be corroborated? So, like... Let me see. Okay, so, like... If we're gonna go chronologically, he was definitely part of criminal underworld. Like, he was, like, kind of set up to fail with, like, having such a shitty family life. Like, but, like, he ended up joining or running this, like, burglary ring or whatever, where they would, like... Well, first he was, like, pirating movies, which is hilarious to me that was, like, such a crime back in the day. Like, he would pirate movies and porn, and it also said, like, Disney movies, and then he would sell them on the black market. But, like, selling stuff on the black market, he, like, made all these connections with other, like,
to the
criminals
Gambino
and
family.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, allegedly. But...
Allegedly. Here's the first allegedly of the day. I'm gonna take a sip of my drink.
But so, well, one of the big ones, let's see here. Well, he was selling, like, guns and drugs and stuff on the black market, and, like, but he had, like, his crew, which I'm sure you saw. It was Gary Smith, Barbara and Daniel Deppner, and Percy House. Those were, like, his teammates. And
sorry to stop you really quick. Interestingly enough, I didn't have that written down. I only have those people's, not to jump ahead too much, but I only have their endings. So I never knew of this gang of his, which is interesting that we're talking about that.
Yeah, so he had this little gang, and, well, the first person he murdered, like, officially proven, was George Malaband.
Yes, he called him Georgie Boy.
Yeah, he was that guy that, well, Kuklinski was like, okay, well, I have porn and whatever, you can buy it. So Malaband agreed to meet with him, and he brought, like, $27,000 fucking dollars to buy porn.
Wait, I have to stop you. Wait, we already are at a crossroads here. So in the doc, what you're talking about is a pharmacist who...
No. The pharmacist is Paul Hoffman.
Because that sounds like... So there's... Okay, we're so different
I know.
already. Because Georgie Boy, as Richard called him, who was his friend... he killed him because, I'm making quotation, not that anyone listening can see that, but I'm making quotation that he killed him because, Georgie had all of, I'm like Pennywise over here, Georgie had all of these gambling debts and Richard vouched for him, and then he never paid him back, so Richard was like, hey, man, you gotta pay me back for this, and George said, I'm not gonna do that, but if you don't leave me alone, if you don't back off, I'm gonna kill your family. And so that's why in the doc he says he killed him because he was threatening his family. So you're talking about a completely different reason that he died, which is crazy. Okay, go ahead, let me hear what you have to say.
But, you know what? They could both be right in a way. But from what I got from it was that he killed Malibran and, like, mugged him. He stole the money and killed him, and because him and his buddies are, like, you know, they have this, like, burglary, like, team. So they basically promised to make a deal with people, and then they fucking kill them, because that's what they did with Paul Hoffman, the pharmacist.
Yeah, Paul Hoffman,
so,
yeah. That's very interesting.
Yeah, like... So Paul was under the impression that because Kuklinski had ties to the black market, that he could get him
this amazing
drug,
ulcer drug, yeah. What is it?
Tagamet.
Tagameth. It's a mixture of ulcer medicine and meth.
And meth. So he's just buying meth. No. But, so Kuklinski gave him the impression, like, oh, I can get you a lot of this drug. So Paul Hoffman shows up with $22,000, and guess what happens? He gets killed and mugged, just like the last guy.
I am dying inside at these discrepancies. So he said 25,000, and you researched, and it came out 22,000, which is not a big deal or anything. But I just think that it's so funny. Like, where did it come from? Where did was it in an interview once that Richard was like, yeah, he had $22,000 of my money, and then another time he said 25, and someone wrote an article about it being 22, and someone I think it's crazy.
Well, this is the thing, too, about, like, if you're dealing with, like, a pathological liar, which is who I think he is.
100%. I agree with that.
Like, you can't really tell. I mean, and then with anybody, though, if you're, like, talking about something that happened, like, people's memories are not always, like,
well, that's actually true, too, because...
Reliable.
Yeah, and that's actually true, too, because at one point in the doc, Richard says... You know, I don't remember these murders. When you ask me about them, I have to sit and think about it. Because, like, he's just had so many that he just can't remember.
Oh, but do you know what's so ironic about that? He remembers in excruciating detail murdering Jimmy Hoffa, which he did not. Like, go fuck yourself. Like,
Jimmy Hoffa?
He's just...
Who the fuck is that?
We're not going to get into this. Okay. Listeners, I apologize.
Can you hear my
Marissa doesn't know who Jimmy Hoffa is. Jimmy Hoffa's, like, so fucking famous. Like, one of the most famous criminals in history.
Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed. My nerdy self over here is, like, looking like Hoffman. I don't remember anything about
Hoffa. It's okay. It's alright.
I don't even know his name. You just told me. Hoffner.
No!
What the fuck is the name?
Jimmy Hoffa. I'm gonna send you all the links, everything. You're gonna be a professional on, like,
oh my god,
freaking mobsters.
So what? Said he killed him?
Yeah, he said he killed a lot of, like, high-profile people, but it's because he reads the news and he.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I'll keep moving on with this.
Okay, all right, we digress. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So the next guy after the pharmacist was actually one of Kuklinski's, like, friends. So one of the guys that's part of his, like, burglary detail, his syndicate, whatever the fuck you want to call it, Gary Smith. So they're, like,
Gary
running
Thomas
this whole team.
Smith. I do have him.
Yeah. So they're, like, part of the gang together. And from what I read, it sounded like the cops were starting to close in on their gang. So Kuklinski, oh wait, hang on. Here we go. Okay, so one of the other guys that's in their gang, Percy House, I guess he said he was going to testify against the rest of them. So he gets arrested, and he's like, okay, I'm going to talk about the gang that I'm in with Kuklinski, and, you know,
I can't believe I heard nothing about this gang. Just throwing that out there. Nothing about it. Like, I feel like my notes are for nothing. I'm throwing them out.
No, your notes are amazing. I actually want to go back to your notes after this, because I feel like your notes talk about a lot of, like, what he said in the documentary, which I don't know if a lot of it, like, he's just making shit up. It's crazy. But,
yeah, alright, go ahead.
So, what was it?
Gary Smith.
Percy House says that
yeah.
he's going to testify against his friends to the cops, and then warrants are issued for Gary Smith and Daniel Deppner. So
Deppner, yep, I got Deppner.
Smith, I guess, went to Kuklinski, and he's like, I want to give up crime. I think I'm going to live my life straight. So Kuklinski, being a fucking paranoid asshole, he's like, oh my god, Smith is going to now testify against me. So he fucking poisoned Smith with that dumbass hamburger thing that everyone's always talking about, like, oh, I put cyanide in his hamburger, and then whatever, this was like his most highly reported on murder that he did, because
hamburger cyanide. Did I even research the right guy? What the fuck is happening?
I feel like he talked about that in the documentary too.
I remember the cyanide. I remember that, and he has a couple examples of how he kills people with it, but the hamburger, this is new to me. I gotta check my fucking hamburgers now.
Dude, well, every news article I read, they're like, the man who freezes people and kills people with hamburgers. It's like that. That was the one thing that kept coming up, and I was
sounds
like,
like a
what
SpongeBob episode.
It's like, oh no. But so this one's important though. So when he kills Smith with the hamburger, he also Deppner strangled him as well.
Oh, this is the one. Okay, hold on. Because this is the one that he would have been probably ruled out like a heart attack or something if it weren't for the strangulation marks, right? Is that what you're getting at? And if it's not, don't even fucking
So this actually happens. No, it is, or it's one of them, because he does this a lot, and it's a sign. This is why it's important, because it shows that, like, you know, Kuklinski keeps saying that he's like this fucking contract killer, he's like this assassin, but literally every murder that is, like, proven and whatever, it's so sloppy. Like, he does such a terrible job. Even the one he actually froze, and it was like, oh my god, that's genius. He didn't even execute that properly.
Yeah, because
like,
that was the one that wasn't defrosted all the way. Oh god, that sounds terrible. But
yeah,
yes.
And I think that is that the next one? No, the next one. So after Smith, and after he tried using cyanide, didn't work. Deppner strangled Smith, so they actually killed him together. So, but then the next guy he kills is Daniel Deppner, because again, Kuklinski is like super paranoid. He's convinced all of his friends are going to turn against him, so he sets Deppner up in like an apartment that he has a key to, and then he goes in and kills him.
Yeah, so see,
and he's like,
it's interesting because I have in the doc they touch on all of these people, and I even have here that Deppner was one of like a third associate of Kuklinski, so I do get that part, but it's interesting because I have to research more of like how he was found dead, like a bicyclist found like a buzzard chewing on him or something, and you have the backstory of it, which is super interesting because Once I found out you were kind of online searching, I didn't want to do too much of it and kind of run into the same stuff. But no. This is exactly what I wanted. This is so interesting that they make it seem that's it's true with everything in life. Something is not what it seems, and I feel like on most podcasts they just probably do a decent amount of research and they talk about it and here's the storyline. But this is interesting, having a conversation of two people learning about this for the first time and it coming up such different results. It's so crazy. I feel like that's going to be my thing that people make fun of. I keep going, that's so crazy.
Well, I'm going to try not to count how many times I'm saying because it'll give me a complex. I'll just freaking kill myself.
No, I'm gonna go with that's so crazy is gonna be my if you're following along, take a drink every time I say that. I have been, crazy. Which is why I'll keep getting sloppier as this goes on.
I know. I need water because my throat's so dry. But no, but you bring up a really good point because Deppner. You know, you said the bicyclist found him. Mm-hmm. Do you want to know something even crazy about that?
Tell me.
Wait a minute. So here we go again.
Here we go.
He was killed with cyanide.
Yep. 1.
And then strangling. 2. There he goes. He has an MO. He tries to poison them, strangles them, because it doesn't work because he's an idiot. But not only that, but he dumped the body literally 3 miles away from a ranch that his family would go horseback riding.
Oh my God.
So, like, talk about sloppy. Talk about stupid.
So
like,
I'm gonna do I'm gonna interject here for a second. Did you come across anyone called Mr. Softy? Also, his real name was Robert Pronge. I think if I'm saying that rightly. Mm-hmm. There we go. There's the alcohol.
Correct.
So let's talk about this sicko for a second.
Wait, no, okay, yeah. No, I can't just keep yelling over you. Okay.
No. The only reason I'm jumping ahead or backwards, I can't even fucking tell where we are at this point now, but the only reason I'm bringing him up is because supposedly in the doc, which who knows what the fuck was true in that now that we're talking to you, now that we're all the people...
I'm the only one who knows the truth. I brought the truth with me to share with the world.
You guys can't see it, but I have a whole jury behind me. We're reevaluating Richard's case. No, so Mr. Softy is supposedly the one that taught him about cyanide and all that shit. So, and then per Richard's MO, this dude ended up dead too because, and now I don't know what you came up with, but in the doc, they pretty much were just saying that, like, you know, he had brought him along on a couple jobs, and he was pretty much getting too close to him, so, like Richard always did, anyone close to him that could possibly turn on him one day, he just killed him. And so I remember at one point he's talking about him, and he says, this guy was crazy, and I remember writing down, like, oh, the irony in that sentence, Mr. Kuklinski, because you are certified crazy, batshit crazy yourself, so, this guy must have been some sort of whack job for this guy to think he was crazy.
Well, this is another weird thing. So actually, Robert Pronge is what kind of led me down this rabbit hole because I started doing independent research on Kuklinski and this guy popped up and like I don't know if this is true, but like what started all my questioning was this guy who claimed to be like Robert Pronge's son or something. He was on Reddit, like
Reddit.
Posting like I know. That's what I mean. This isn't something that I actually believe 100%, but this is what started my descent into crazy. But he was saying like there's no way, I don't know. There's a lot of weird stuff, but it was like
say it.
His So, he was saying Robert Pronge wasn't like a hitman or anything. He was just like this psycho guy that, like, the only thing that he, I think, even got in trouble for or, like, convicted of was, like, blowing up his ex-wife's house or, like, the door. Like, he put a bomb on the door and, like...
Oh, God.
And, like, there wasn't really anything about him about being a hitman or anything like that. It was really weird.
In the doc, they don't really call him a hitman. They more just say Richard described him as someone who would just go around in his Mr. Softy truck and give out ice cream and then, like, kill one of the kids' dads later or something. Like, that's, like, the kind of crazy he was.
Right.
But...
Oh, okay. Because I kind of got the idea that it was, like, because of contracts.
I mean,
maybe I've been playing too many video games.
Yeah, no.
Fucking Agent 47 over here.
Yeah, no, I mean, from my research alone, he made it seem like he was just a crazy guy that he came across, became friends with. He taught him how to use cyanide, which, according to your research, he did not fucking teach him very well. And then he killed him. So, which, if this, listen, I'm not saying anyone deserves to die or whatever. I'm sure that there are terrible people in the world that deserve to die, but if this guy really was going around and marking people as he's giving their kids ice cream and then killing them, I don't see that being as a great loss. So, if that's true.
I know. Well, I mean, whether he was, like, Kuklinski's, like, mentor or not, like, he still did sound like kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
But that's what made me start reading more about this, because it was, like, this Mr. Softy thing that Kuklinski was getting into, like, really crazy detail about in the documentary. I really didn't see that corroborated anywhere else. So,
yeah.
It was really, he's the only one that talks about that. It's not like a detective went back into this guy, Prange, and was like, oh my god, this guy's a notorious serial killer, you know? It's like, there isn't anything about that.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I think he was just a...
It was just really fishy to me, but...
Crazy guy. And I happen to we can go back to what you were saying before, but I have a body count list, but by the point he was getting ready to be arrested, that they were kind of pinning on him for, and I guess I never had them as, like, his gang or anything, but I have most of the people. I have George Malaban, Gary Smith, Daniel Deppner, and then I have Louis Mazgay. Do you have Louis Mazgay? I don't remember.
Yeah, that's the next guy. That was the guy, I think he froze.
I think he froze.
Sorry, Michael, just, like, creeped into the room.
Oh, I was like, why did you say that so weird? But then I also just accepted it. Yeah, I don't...
But, so, the thing also with Louis Mazgay is that this is exactly the same setup as the other ones, if we're going by my research, where he showed up to meet Kuklinski to buy blank VHS tapes, which I don't know what the hell, because who would spend $95,000 on freaking VHSs? But
I don't know. It was a different time back then.
But,
I don't know.
I guess. So he showed up with all this money, and I think we can all guess what happened. He was killed and then mugged, which is exactly what Kuklinski did to all of the other people, except for his friends who he killed because he was paranoid. But then he froze him for 2 years.
Yeah, so that's...
But he couldn't even do that right, because he didn't let it thaw all the way.
He couldn't even do that right. Alright, first of all, I wanted to get into the fact that so, from my research, this was the body that earned him the name Iceman. I don't know if you came across that, but this was the one. So, let's just talk about for a second, how do you freeze a human being for 2 years? Like, did he forget about it, or was it just like a really elaborate 2-year plan to be like, oh, by the time they realize he's missing, it's gonna seem like someone just killed him? Like, how do you, like... Was it like, did it just hit the 2-year mark and you're like, time to get that body out of the freezer? Like, how did this happen?
Well, see, that's where Robert Prange comes in, because Kuklinski was claiming that Prange taught him about the freezing technique
that
too,
would make
where it's
sense.
like, but he was saying, no, but this is where it's weird, because it's like, you can, like, so many people have said, like, the Mr. Frosty, like, freezers that they use for ice cream, they are not big enough to put a body in.
I heard he had an industrial freezer. I don't know if that was...
That could be possible. I mean, if he froze the guy for 2 years, he had to have something like that, where he wouldn't have to worry about, like, power outages.
No, I heard he had an industrial freezer. At one point, we kind of skipped over a little bit, but he was working out of the notorious Gemini Lounge in Jersey, which is, like, where the Gambino family and all that was.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That place was called... Hold on, I have the exact freaking quote of that place somewhere. A mafia killing factory where victims were killed and dismembered, hacked bodies were packed and carted away. So that seems to me like they would have an industrial freezer there, but I think at this point he had already moved on.
But wait, who said that?
I think it was
who
Barbara
quoted,
Walters.
Who said that?
Talk that I was watching. Yeah, was that not her voice? whoever was doing
the only connection, like, the narrator to the HBO
it sounded like Barbara Walters. That's why I just threw that out. But she said this whole thing. She was like, Richard became a hitman and associated with a gang that worked out of the notorious Gemini Lounge, and then it was the mafia killing factory, and then that was a quote verbatim where the victims were killed and dismembered. So that to me seems like they would have an industrial freezer type situation going on. But I also feel like at this point that we're talking about in Richard's like criminal career, he was working on his own, because at one point they say he, after so many years of working for this family, he went on to his own crime ring, which is ironic. I'm going to go back for a second, that the Paul Hoffman case, in my research that I came across, was his first like example of how he did business once he disassociated with the Gambino family. So that's very funny that you have something so different.
I know, because when I was looking into it, too, like, it looks like I could be completely wrong. Listeners, if you guys want to write in and email us and be like, you fucking dumb assholes, like, you're more than welcome.
Please.
But from what I was reading is that literally the only connection that outside of Kuklinski's own claims to the Gambinos was that he took out a loan from them to start his porn business. I guess he fell behind on the loan payment, and Roy DeMeo, like, went out to be like, hey, you fucking owe us money.
Shut your face. And then, we're on Roy DeMeo already. This is...
No, you started this. No, we'll go back. Let's go back, because I'm not done yet.
All right, wait, hold on.
Am I?
Pause really quick, because we skipped over something I wanted to talk about in the very beginning about Richard's wife, Barbara. So, I think we came across different things, similar things. So, at one point during my online researches, I found out that supposedly Richard had another wife and 2 other children. Never once mentioned them in the doc, didn't talk about it at all. Excuse me, but Barbara Kuklinski, when she talks about him in the doc, she says that he was like flowers at the door every day, and he was the perfect husband, and blah, blah, blah. Later goes on to say, like, I didn't ask questions. If he got up at 2 a.m. or left on Christmas Eve, I didn't ask. You just knew better. So my thing is, when you research about Barbara and this extremely, extremely toxic relationship they have, it goes in great detail on the internet about how Richard beat her so brutally that she had 5 miscarriages. He beat her so bad that when she did get pregnant, I guess Barbara's family wanted her to keep her honor, quote, keep her honor. So they paid Richard to divorce his other wife, he was already estranged from, apparently, and to marry Barbara to, like, keep her honor. So, first of all, number one, if that's true, fuck Barbara's family, because they're the worst people I've ever heard of. Well, obviously not the worst people, but they're 100%. One of the worst people I've ever heard of. And then, so she ended up having 5 miscarriages and a stillborn, where, like, by the time they got to the hospital, this is super gruesome, warning ahead, that the baby's foot was breached, but it had already passed away. Like, that's how bad he beat her. Now, it wasn't until the 3rd doc that I got to, which was the last one, that Richard even talks about how he was a, quote, nasty son of a bitch, or gun, or whatever he said to Barbara, and how he gave her an opportunity one time to stab him in the back, literally stab him. and she didn't do it, obviously, but online it says that he stabbed her. So it's just so crazy how, and again, goes back to what you said. I wonder if Richard had any say in what they talked about in the doc, or if that was just like a journalism decision to say, like, I just was confused on why they made it seem like one way in the doc for 2 of the whole doc series, and the last one he was like, yeah, I put her through a lot, and then it was like, well, you know, I don't know. It just seems like it goes again with, like, is he a pathological liar? Where was the truth in all of the stories about him?
And it's nuts, too, because I think this came out after he died, but she wrote, like, a memoirs.
Oh, shit, and no way.
I didn't read it. You know, it sounded really, really heavy. Like, she writes about how fucked up it was, and it sounds like he did beat their children, and he beat them.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm speaking from just reading a synopsis. I didn't actually read it. Maybe eventually, but I have kind of a hard time, like...
Yeah, that's really... That
heavy,
takes a toll
so.
on you. Yeah, for sure. And just to go back to the fact that he actually did beat his children, according to Barbara, is what you're saying. You know, I had a whole note here about how he starts talking about his family. I don't remember if it was in the first doc or the second doc I watched, but he says, quote, "I've never felt sorry for anything I've done other than hurting my family." But then he goes on to say, "I'm not looking for forgiveness. I'm not repenting. I know I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I do not want my family to forgive me." And this is all why he's, like, dramatically crying, and his chin is quivering, and he's, like, clinking his tongue together, and I'm just like, fuck you, dude. Like, I don't believe anything you're saying. I don't believe you're even capable of empathy or sympathy towards anybody. Like, I just... And can I just fucking ask you, was he chewing gum? The whole fucking thing.
So I was thinking, what? It's like he has, like, a Jolly Rancher in his mouth or something, and he's just like...
I'm gonna just really quickly, I don't know if we're gonna talk about it at the end as, like, kind of a little bit of a joking burst at the end of this really disgusting crime spree he had, but one of the YouTube comments afterwards that I read, and it was like one of the first ones, it was like, dude had an invisible toothpick in his mouth the entire time, and I think I almost peed my pants when I read that, because it's perfect. It's exactly what it seemed like. He had something in his mouth, and I don't know if it was, like, to be dramatic and, like, seem like he was, like, I don't know, he was like, he was acting remorseful, but saying he wasn't remorseful. Like, what are you, like, pick a lane and fucking ride it, dude.
But see, Marissa, you're already seeing what, like, everybody else was kind of seeing with, like, this whatever conspiracy, is that, like, he just loves, like, the attention. He really loves, like, beefing himself up, gassing himself up. Like,
yeah.
He's, like, because... honestly, half of the shit that he was saying happened. Like, there's no proof. There's no way to corroborate what he's saying. I think he just really liked being on camera. He liked all the attention. And he's like, oh, I killed these really high-profile people. It's like, you were never even there. Like, it's just, he was one of those where as soon as he got the spotlight, he's like, yeah, I am the Iceman. I'm a contract killer. Like, oh, it's like, you asshole.
Yeah.
He just liked the attention.
100%. I agree with everything you just said, and that goes to prove of one of the things he was talking about. I don't know if you came across this or you remember this in the doc, but he talks about super, super gruesome if this is true, but that if his boss would ever like request a super gruesome death, he would tie someone up in, like, a cave or something. Like, number one, the first question is, where is a cave? Like, can you name a cave right now that you know of? Because I can't name a cave I would
actually
know that...
weirdly, yes.
Okay, well, fuck you.
There's literally Cave of the Winds is, like, right down the road from us.
Okay, fine. But you live where there's caves. There's no caves around here. And he's from Jersey City. Like, where do you know outside of Jersey City that there's caves? You're like, you know what? I got a cave for this.
But Marissa, here's the thing that's crazy, is that there is a cave that he, like, mentions, and this is where the problem lies, is that where they're thinking he was dumping a body, which was in the Durham mine, which I'm not sure where that is. It's in Bucks County, but I'm not familiar with Jersey. I am so sorry. But so it's what they were saying is that's the only cave, like, large enough to, like, be a body dumping ground. Okay, so they went in there, and, like, honestly, it sounds like the cave is, like, has tons of, like, traffic in there, like, biologists and freaking, like, people go in there all the time. Spelunkers. No one's ever found any remains, any human bodies. Nothing. No bones. No clothes. And then...
So he's just making this up.
This one's... Like... He's making it up. And then this one scientist guy... Oh, God, what's his name? Shit. But there's this one scientist who's like... He's like, flesh-eating rats? Like, what the fuck? It's like, there's rats in the caves, but they're really shy. Like, they're afraid of people. Like, they're not, like, piranhas. They're not gonna, like, go after flesh. Like, he's just making this fucking shit up. Like, there's no bodies.
Listen, I don't know anything about rats ever in life, but that did cross my mind where I was like, does a rat like the old shark tale, like, did sharks just attack for no reason, like they were just laying down and it was like, rats assemble, and they all just like fucking ate this guy to death, like, and it's so terrible. I mean, we don't mean to laugh if this really happened to someone, of course. This is horrible, but it's just horseshit. Literally,
I'm only laughing because it doesn't seem like this happened, and there's no proof, and like. He has a clear MO. He tries to poison someone, sucks at it, and then strangles them. And he's like, that's literally his MO. He's not like using crossbows and all this stupid shit that he's saying.
Oh yeah,
he
tried that once, right? Yeah, just to see if it worked. How about the one? Did you come across? He's just
this like sleazy porn guy who's like, oh, I'm gonna kill. I want some money. Like, he's just this asshole.
That's my new favorite description of Richard Kuklinski. He's just this sleazy porn guy that sucked at killing people. All right, well, how about did you come across the one where he's at a bar and this guy pissed him off, so he found some... This is the funniest part to me. Again, if this is true, I'm so sorry for laughing, but he found some rope. There was just rope around, just in a bar area outside. And he found enough rope to noose it around someone, toss them over his back like a tree, and then kill them like that. Like...
Okay, so I've seen... This is a really gruesome way to kill somebody, but it's usually done with, like... I mean, I've watched a lot of, like, mob movies. Like, I don't know if any of this is real, but...
I've never
like,
heard
they'll
this
take, like,
before.
piano wire, and what you do is you use, like, their own body weight. And he's a huge guy. He probably could have done it.
Oh, like, 100%. I think he could have done any of these things, but also...
But what did he do? Did he watch a bunch of mob movies too? And he's like, I killed a guy like that once.
But also, like, tell me what bar you were at. And there's, like, it's like a Saturday night, and you're just, like, tree-lugging, murdering people, and no one's around? Like, no one was coming in and out of the bar? Like, no one... Or did they just see you, and they're like, oh, it's Iceman, I'm not gonna... Like, how did this happen? How did you do this in, like a populated area? Like, again, this is bullshit. Everything's bullshit. And I don't believe anything now.
I know, I'm sorry. But, so, even this, shit. Okay, so there's this one, I don't know if he was a detective or a police officer, but there's this one guy named Bob Buccino, and he even said, he's like, this is all very hard to believe. We didn't believe a lot of things that he said. Like, all right, this was when he was claiming that he killed Jimmy Hoffa, and then this other guy...
Did you say Dustin Hoffman?
Carlo. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm just kidding. But, so Philip Carlo, the author for the Iceman Confessions of a Mafia Contract Killer, he said everything I could do to bolster, like, what he was saying me was true. Like, I tried to make it seem more true. Like, so he was basically just beefing up Kuklinski's stories to make them, I don't know, more sensational. But he even said, like, he wasn't an easy man to interview. Like, he was probably just making shit up left and right. Like, I'm this crazy killer. And even when he claimed to kill that one police officer, Peter Calabro, they convicted him of that, but he already had a life sentence, but they literally had no proof that he did it. Like, it was just like, okay, I mean, sure,
well, if you're saying
you can also have that. Yeah.
So, all right, I just want to talk about, I don't know if you remember this in the doc, but this one got me, and not in a this is terrible kind of way, but this is like the most dramatic thing I've ever heard in my life. So after Prongay's murder, for going in chronological order, he was hired for, quote, a dangerous contract no one else would touch, unquote. His murder took place in a discotheque where he used his famous cyanide technique. So Richard goes on to say that, this was a really high-profile thing. He couldn't get near the guy, and he noticed, this is all what he said, he noticed that there was these two gay people dancing near him, and he thought that that was his best way to get over to them. I don't see the correlation in this. Like, I guess he was saying, like, if he blended in by acting, quote, gay, that he would be less suspicious of murdering someone during a club, like, outing. So he says that he went the total extreme. He got a giant yellow outfit, and he acted, quote, all swishy, unquote.
Those swishy.
All swishy. So
he's all swishy.
While acting, isn't that the name of the little, there's a little fish in Finding Nemo like that? Isn't there a little squishy or something like that? Anyway, so he's this outfit is very loud, is what he called it. So he's dancing around, and now he is a 6'5", I believe, 300-pound dude.
Yeah, he's huge.
So he's drawing more attention to himself, which makes absolutely no sense to me. And it's very funny, as he's telling this story, he's like, he says, I was acting like, quote, a full-blown gay person, unquote. And then he says, I probably shouldn't say that. Now gay people are going to be mad at me. First of all, you are being incredibly offensive. And second of all, that's what you're worried about, offending people? Like, you murdered people. Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, he gets up close to this guy, and he pokes him with a hypodermic needle, right? He just had one of these in his swishy outfit. And the guy says, the guy died. That's how he says it, like that. And the interviewer says, what was in the needle? And Richard says, quote, in this case, a heart attack, unquote.
Oh, God.
He
thinks he's a wise guy.
I literally said, my note says, this dude loves himself. He's so proud of himself.
Yes.
Like, he's like giggling through it, and he loves it. So whether or not that's made up, it's sick to joke about killing anyone, first of all. And then whether it is true, it's sick 100%. To be laughing about killing someone. Like, he's just sick either way. He's a sicko.
Well, I love that you were like, because you're right, if he's like this massive fucking football player looking guy in like a big yellow suit acting flamboyant or whatever.
Swishy.
Like, cool. He sounds like an idiot who had too much time in jail. Because like a lot of his claims of like all these other killings, he came up with after he was arrested.
Oh,
so,
really?
Like, it just sounds like he's reading a lot of newspapers and he's like, oh yeah, I'm a hitman. Like... So this is my theory here. Okay, so we'll kind of get a little bit back. I don't know. Like I said, listeners, please correct me.
Tell us we're assholes.
I like being corrected. So yeah, you could call me an asshole. Don't call Marissa an asshole.
No, call us both an asshole. Do it. Write in just to call us an asshole. That's all right.
The undercover cop that eventually did catch Kuklinski, Dominic Polifrone. Shit, I'm Italian. I don't even know how this is pronounced.
I was nervous about saying that one myself, but you just sound like you were conjuring an Italian demon there for a second. Amazing. Go on.
Oh, God. Okay, well, I'm not calling him by his last name. So, Dominic. Okay, so first of all, from the documentary, you know how it played that, like, tape of them talking? I was laughing my fucking head off because I feel like this cop was doing his worst impersonation of a criminal. Because he was like, yo, how'd you fucking catch him? What'd you fucking do? You don't use your fucking piece? What do you fucking do? It's like, what the fuck?
He was so over the top pronouncing the F word. He literally was like,
oh my
he's
God.
like, what do you do when you're fucking talking to that guy? Like, he was like yelling.
Yeah, what do you fucking do? What, you don't use your fucking gun? Like, what do you fucking use? Oh my God.
And Richard's like,
I was like,
why be
okay?
Yeah, Richard's like, why be messy? Like, keep it calm. He's like, with the fucking cyanide.
Like, I feel like Kuklinski was so excited to talk about what he does that he didn't even notice that this cop was like the worst cop, like undercover.
He might as well have been like,
he caught him.
Yeah, he might as well have literally been like, I'm not a
so
cop,
cartoon.
bro. Yeah, no, he's like the worst undercover.
Yeah.
And sorry, just to go really quickly to one of the YouTube comments, someone wrote that undercover cop sounded like a kid that just started learning curse words and was trying to use them.
Yes.
I thought that was so funny because it's exactly what it sounded like.
Oh my god.
So funny.
Dude, I was actually, okay, this is weird. Well, you called me, I was in the bath, right? And I was watching this documentary. Yes. And I remember
that's the kind of people
I had it
we
playing
are.
while I was in the shower. And I was like, I literally had to look at my iPad because I was in the shower. I pulled the curtain away because I was like, I need to see what this guy looks like. Like, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever
Well, he says too, and I wish I had written it down, but he said, oh my god. Oh, I wish I had written it down now, but he says he went by Dominic Michael Provenzano, I think. And he said, I told him
I did write that down.
He said, I told him I had a brother. Oh my god, I wish I could remember, but it was something so stupid. He's like, I had a brother that's a tough guy in the city or something. Like, that was like his way into the, I don't know. Richard did not do enough back intel on these people that he trusted.
Like, this is exactly why I brought this up, is because I personally believe, this is not fact, I don't know if this is fact, this is just me saying shit. I think that this is the first time Kuklinski is even considered, like, getting into, like, being a contract killer, because this undercover cop, he hires him, right? He's like, okay, like, I have a job for you, I need you to kill this guy for me. So
see, I thought this was
Kuklinski.
Sorry, just really quick. I thought this was when they had already started closing in on him. That's why, like, this, like, task force, like, assigned Dominic to him. Like, he had already been...
No, it is. Yeah. But the thing is, the only murders that Kuklinski has done so far have been, like, his friends, and then those 2 robberies.
Okay, yeah.
So the cop is like, hey, I got a job for you, I got a fucking job, or whatever. And then, so he gives Kuklinski this, what he says is cyanide, but when Kuklinski, like, tries it out on a dog, I guess, and it didn't work, so
What the fuck? Are you serious?
Yeah. But it's not real because the cop gave it to him. And then because Kuklinski is like, okay, I accept this job, I'm going to do it, and he gets arrested, right? So
wow, I thought that was
like,
just...
They basically, I think they put the whole idea of him being a hitman in his head then. They're like, oh, you're a hitman, I got a job for you. I don't know. Maybe he had ties to, the Gambino family, like...
Yeah, see,
but from what I read, it was just, like, he owed them money, like, he took out a loan with them, like, he wasn't, like, one of their top people.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about that, and then you mentioned Roy DeMeo. Roy DeMeo was part of the Gambino family, wasn't he? He was,
Yeah, so he was the one that went to collect on the loan, I guess, that, Kuklinski had... He was late on paying.
Right.
So
yeah, see, I didn't hear any of that. I don't know where the hell is Roy DeMeo. Hold on. Keep talking. I'm gonna try to find where.
Oh, it's okay. So, and then they claimed that the Gambino family hired Kuklinski to kill that cop, Calabro.
Yes. Yes.
Jiminy Cricket. Okay, so...
Alright, so, wait, hold on. In my
yeah.
research, Roy DeMeo was his boss. Like, he was completely associated with the, this guy was part of the Gambino family, I guess. I'm so sorry if I'm wrong on that. He was part of the Gemini Lounge. Right. And then this was the guy that, like, auditioned, Kuklinski to be like a hitman. So Roy took him a couple hours outside of the city. He picked a random guy. I don't know if it was random. They didn't say random, but they picked a guy walking his dog and said, "Go kill him." And Richard said, "Okay, I got him." And he gets out.
Yeah.
He kills the guy walking his dog. So that's the relationship I knew between him and Roy, was that it was his boss. And I don't.
And this is where I get a little bit more open-minded. Like, maybe the Gambino family were like, okay, so you do have ties to, like, the seedy black market and shit like that. Maybe we can use you. I don't know. But, like, all of this is just us, like, making stuff up. Because, like...
Right.
it's literally our word against Kuklinski's, everyone's word against Kuklinski's, because he's the only one saying this shit. Like, there's no one else out there that's, like, corroborating what he's saying.
Yeah.
Like,
no, that's 100% true.
It's all, like, I think there was one guy during the Calabro arrest, like, when they were going through it, like, yeah, so, oh, God, I didn't get a first name again, but there's this article I was reading about the arrest and of oh shit sorry, this is scintillating to listen to. Oh, Salvatore Gravano. So he's the one that was on trial he's one of the people that was getting arrested for Peter Calabro's murder.
Yeah, see, I didn't
during
hear any
that
of that.
trial is when they bring up, like, I was, like, just reading random news articles. Oh, this is this is why this fucking article was so badly written from the Chicago Tribune. Like, it took me forever to figure out what the fuck was even being said. But, so, Salvatore Gravano's on trial, right? He's one of the people that's gotten arrested for Peter Calabro. And then all this stuff comes in with, like, Kuklinski being involved. But it's weird because even Gravano's lawyer is like, this doesn't make any sense. Like, this guy just said all this stuff on HBO. Like, yeah. And now all of a sudden we're believing him. And then this other guy, there's a news conference with, I think, oh shit, I need to be better at getting names. But he even said, he's like, why would such an accomplished assassin such as Salvatore Gravano hire fucking, like, Kuklinski to do a hit for him? Like, he's killed so many people, he's really good at it. Like, why would he hire fucking Kuklinski?
Yeah, I guess that doesn't make sense. I don't know. See, again, this is the gullible part in me. I had watched this documentary not knowing anything about him going in, and then by the end of it I was just like, believed everything he said. I was like, oh my god, this man is so dangerous. He could do anything he wanted.
He's a good actor.
Yeah, no, apparently that's what he was. He was a good actor. He I mean, I couldn't stand listening to him or listening to him talk, because he was just so arrogant and disgusting. But I guess that's what it was. It was a performance. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, some of this was true. I mean, he did kill a lot of people. But at one point, I think he says, they said, how many people have you killed? And he's, like, beating around the bush, and he's like,
200 people?
He's like, it's not less than 200. Like, it's not less than 200. Like, there was really, like, that's, like, execution-style shooting. That's, like, lining people up. Like, how did you kill that many people? Like, that's crazy. That's, you had to have popped off, like, a bunch of people. Like, okay, I'm way too white to be saying popped off, but I did it anyway. That's like, just so many people at once to, like, get the math right for his crime ring here. I don't know. It's so crazy. Take a drink.
That's so crazy.
That's so crazy.
It is, because it's just, I don't know. So here's where I stand, I think, officially, is that maybe, you know, the Gambinos, they might have hired him to kill some people for them. I don't think that he was, like, one of their top dudes, in my opinion. He was probably, like, someone, if he got caught, they're like, yeah, whatever, he's a piece of shit. Like, I don't know. Like, that's how I feel about it. Because he just doesn't seem important to anybody. And, like, oh yeah, I have this other quote from an attorney general. I got his fucking name. Carey Edwards, W. Carey Edwards. He set up individuals for business deals. They would disappear, and the money would end up in his hands. Like, that's literally what he did. He was just mugging people. Huh. Like, he wasn't this contract killer with, like, this super cool, like, yeah, I'm just over here fucking feeding people to rats, and I'm in the mafia. It's like, I think he's making all of it up.
So I think that there is definitely a truth to what you're saying about how this has been dramatized so much. But I think that there is a part of this with any type of legend, per se, of a person. So, for example, and I'm sure we'll talk about this guy one day, but, you know, Ted Bundy was supposed to be this insanely...
this guy just...
just Ted Bundy, you know. No, but he just a very quick example. He was supposed to be this super intelligent person. Like, he was supposed to have this crazy IQ and whatever. And people sense this. I feel like he's become so popular again nowadays because people just keep talking about him, and like there's all these movies that came out and whatever. But like, when you come down to it, I don't think he actually had that huge of an education, and they were like, oh my god, he escaped all these things and all that, and like it's debunked as it goes along. And I think that's with any type of serial killer. Once they get, like, you know, people know their name and they get this like taste of fame, they kind of roll with it. And I think that is what happened with here, especially if a lot of this came from after he was in jail. I'm sure he just stewed on it, and he's like, what else can I say to make me sound like a badass? And you're a loser.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, narcissists are really good at manipulating people, you know, and this guy seems,
yes.
I mean, maybe he's not like actually narcissistic, but you feel that a little bit in the way he's talking, like in interviews. And then, I mean, Ted Bundy, 100% narcissistic.
Oh, one of the worst narcissistic people ever.
But they're so good at manipulation, and it's like, you know, you start to believe them because they have so much confidence.
Yeah,
you think
exactly.
that they're like clever. But if you actually look at what he's done, like the Iceman, he throws one guy and like couldn't even de-thaw him correctly, like, or thaw him. Like, what? Okay, you're the Iceman. Like, freaking Michael Shannon gets to play you.
Yeah.
Like, he's so handsome, and then this guy's so gross. I don't know how this is gonna work out for me. I'm gonna be really bothered.
Yeah. So, another thing I want to talk about really quick, when he's being interviewed by the psychiatrist, what was his name? Dr. Park Dietz, I think is what it was. This guy also interviewed people like Dahmer. Name drop again. Yeah, we should look into more of his interviews. But I just side note really quick about this guy. When I was listening to him interviewing and they finally showed his face, I was like, that is not who I thought this guy was gonna look like. Did you feel the same way? I feel like it was such a high pitched. I thought it was like a young kid. And then they like turned it around. It's like this like weird looking older guy, and I was like, are you sure?
Wait, what's his name?
Dr. Park Dietz.
What's his name again?
Yeah, that's his first name. And the last name is Dietz. But I feel like it's going to come up as an old guy. You may have to do like the interview with him. But I don't know, I just like he had such like a high pitched voice. I was not expecting that to come out of him. Anyway, there's a part where he's Richard's talking about how he was in Georgia and these guys were like, you know, messing around with him on the road, and Richard's like, you know, I had to take care of him. They were pissing me off. And so he like kills 3 guys just like driving, just no big deal. And Dr. Park Dietz was like, you know, sorry if I'm saying his name wrong, by the way, but he was like, you know,
no, that sounds right to me.
He's like, do you think that was a capital offense, what they were doing? And he's like, I think so. And then the guy's like, are you sure? Like, you know, he's like, and then he goes on to say, like, they could have killed me. I'm like, first of all, fuck you, just get out of here. No one cares if you fucking die at this point. But also, like, so it goes on, and he's kind of like questioning back and forth, and then Richard starts going, like, gets all like quiet, and he's like, yeah, you really made me mad there. I'm telling you, you really made me mad. And the guy's like, did I? Like, just like as calm as can be. He's like, did I? And Richard, he says, how mad? And he goes, pretty mad, but I don't think I'm going to do anything stupid. Now, one side of me is like, this dude's serving, well, we can get into that, but like, he's not going to, what does he have to lose at this point? But the other half of me is like, now that I know all this bullshit about him, it's like, what are you going to do? Jump over the fucking table and strangle him with like the entire cast and crew of fucking HBO? Like, fucking shut up.
I know. I mean, he is big. I would probably be afraid of him in person.
Knock you out with a smack.
I keep having to remember that. He's huge.
He's huge.
He's huge. Scary.
Well, let's talk about his arrest then. Let's go back to that really quick. He was arrested on December 17th, 1986, outside of his home. We skipped over this, but there was a special task force that was put together, at least they said in the doc, of like local law enforcement and all this, and the criminal justice people. And they had the whole road blocked off. They told him to get out of his car. He didn't. So they ended up like physically taking him out of his car, which I can't even imagine how many people that took because he's so large. The one cop,
He's
huge. The one cop was saying he could barely get one click on the handcuffs, and he couldn't even get the irons on his legs because he was that big. It says the rest took 5 men to take Richard down. Because, like, he's just fucking huge. And so he's walking, like, someone's recording him, obviously, on a TV show or a newscast, whatever, and he's walking, and he goes, this is, what did he say? This is unwarranted, something along the lines of, this is unwarranted, it's unnecessary, these guys watch too many movies. Like, he's just, like, it's like a joke to him that he's being arrested, and, like, that's what he thought was funny to say at the moment. But again, it just goes back to him being a narcissist. Like, just, oh, the camera's on me, I better say something funny.
Well, we all know who watches too many movies. It's you, Richard.
It's you,
making up all these
in the mob movies,
flesh-eating rat shit that you're just, like, making shit up. I can't get over it.
He's like in a cell, writing it down. He's like, oh yeah, that's a good one. I'm gonna say that next interview.
It's probably, he's just like I said, like, he's just probably in jail gassing himself up to all of the inmates, like, yeah, I'm this really notorious hitman, and then they're like, oh, wow, have you ever killed anyone with a crossbow? And he's like, yeah, once.
Oh, yeah,
he's just
you
making
better
shit
believe
up.
I did. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
crossbow,
like,
it was my favorite.
Yeah, exactly. This is so fucking dumb.
All right, and let's talk about...
I don't know.
No, so, sorry, what were we going to say?
No, it's just, I could keep reiterating how
he's just full of shit.
I think this got so blown out of proportion. It's like, I think it's also like, you know, our country and humans, we just like to, like, fantasize and romanticize about serial killers and murderers being like this mystique. It's like, oh my god, he killed so many people, like, let's run with this. Like, every news source was like, he was the Iceman, and it's like, why did we even call him that? He froze one guy, and then he was like...
because when it was coming out and all these docs aired, he had froze 765 bodies. He had frozen all of North Dakota at one point.
Yeah, I mean, that was crazy. I did read about that.
No, there was a whole Reddit forum about how many people he froze.
Yeah, and Reddit, you always trust Reddit. Always.
Always trust Reddit. Now let's talk about, so he ended up in the Trenton State Prison, I believe is what it's called, where he actually was with his brother. Because what a beautiful family. I mean, really. So his brother, do you have his name written down? Because out of my essay here, I can't find his name for some reason.
Again, my notes are, well, you saw my notes. It's a little bit Pepe Sylvia.
Pepe Sylvia. Not only do all these people exist, but they've been asking for their mail for days.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
All right, hold on. I'm pulling up his brother right now. It was Joseph. Okay, we were close.
It's so good.
Joseph.
Oh. It was a J name.
We were close. All right, so Joseph Kuklinski was convicted of rape and murder of a 12-year-old girl. He raped her and then threw her and her dog off of a rooftop. I mean, what the fuck? Really, honestly. So, Richard passed away on March 5th, 2006. He actually died of a rare inflammation of blood vessels, and he told his family that he was being poisoned, which, LOL, if that's the case. I read somewhere that he was supposed to be testifying soon, and so supposedly someone put a hit out on him, and he was poisoned. I mean, it's not funny when someone dies, but seriously, if you did all these crimes, and if you're bragging about them, if you're making up killing people like this, you're just a bad person. I mean, see you later. And I wanted to say too, in his interview with Dr. Dietz, he said, all I've got left, everything I've ever cared for is gone. Everything I ever liked is gone. Anything that ever meant anything to me is gone. And the interviewer, the doctor, is pretty much like, well, you know, what's next? And he's like, then I've come full circle. It's time for me to die. And I was watching it, and I audibly went, bye. Like, because you just like, are you waiting for sympathy from the people that are listening? Like, do you, like, oh, I let people, like, get eaten alive by rats, and then he's like, everything I've ever loved is, like, and the Academy Award goes to the Iceman. Give me a fucking break.
That's what I mean. Like, who talks like that?
I don't know.
It's like he wrote out this monologue, like, I'm ready for my movie.
He did.
I'm so ready.
Yeah, and at one point at the end of the thing with the psychiatrist, he was like, he said, "Do you have any questions for me?" The psychiatrist says this, and Richard says, "As a matter of fact, I do." Do you remember this? And he was like, and he's doing like his tongue clicking, and he's all dramatic, and he's like, "What do you think about me?" Like, that's your question. Like, it's so fucking full of yourself that, like, that's your. Oh my god, it's so crazy. But yeah, anyway, so apparently he was poisoned.
It's like cringy.
Yeah, it's so cringy. He's
like
just
he's cringe.
Yeah, he's just disgusting. He's the whole thing is terrible. And just
so gross.
Quick side note, and then we'll get into whatever else you want to talk about. We will be having cover art on each one of our episodes, and as you will see when this comes out, that and our logo. And I just wanted to point out that all art was done by our lovely Sam, and she is an amazing artist. So if you ever like any of the drawings, please know that she did them, and they're incredible. And she really, really captured the essence of asshole with this guy and her Richard Kuklinski drawing, and I absolutely love it. If I didn't hate him so much, I would hang it on my wall. So just something to keep in mind if you ever see the artwork. It's done by Sam.
Thank you for the
shout out.
The plug. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for the plug. Taco Bell sponsor us.
I'm drinking a Baja Blast. Taco Bell sponsor us.
Hashtag.
All right, tell me about the bullshit you got.
Okay, so I thought you would like this. I looked up.
Let's hear it.
Again, I go down rabbit holes. I am a bunny. So, you know that how they found, was it Peter Calabro's body in a box spring in that hotel, and it was like there for a while?
Yes, I made a note to say, yeah, he was under the bed, and some 20 people came in and out of that room in 5 days, and I made a note to myself, check under hotel bed next time.
So you're gonna love this. Do you know that that's like super common? Like,
stop.
I found
I just got chills.
Lot. Yeah, I found a lot of stories of people finding bodies in beds. Like, a lot. Like, way too many. Oh my god. Like,
but
there
like
was
in the
case
80s or like recently?
Nope. Well, there's one in 2003 in Kansas City. There was one in 1999 There's one in 99 in Atlantic City. 96, there was one in Pasadena, California. 94, Florida. 94 again in Miami.
No, listen.
89. In 89. I'm not done. Like, there's more. Like, this happens. Like, so, here's my PSA to our listeners. Fucking what? Just look under the bed. Like, that's so...
This is a PSA to check your hotel bed.
1,000 years. And never... oh my god, how do you even recover from that? You're like in a hotel
you don't.
with your husband.
You don't.
You're sleeping on top of a fucking dead body? Like, what?
You don't. Okay, you just kind of just go through the motions of life after that, I imagine. You see a dead body that's...
You're just a hollow shell.
Yeah, no. Talk about a vacation ruiner. That's crazy.
Okay, so there's that, and if you all want to do your own research on bodies in beds, you could go on Snopes, like I did, because that's... Okay, my last random information.
Let's hear it.
Is I was looking up other famous hitmen.
Yeah. Did Richard Kuklinski kill them?
No. But do you know who's on that list?
Who?
Freaking Woody Harrelson's dad.
What?
Charles Harrelson.
Wow.
He's a hitman.
Oh my god.
Like, what?
That might have to be an episode maybe one day.
I know. I guess he was a professional gambler and supplemented his income by taking contracts. Wow. Huh. Yep.
That's very interesting.
And then also for all you video game people out there, fucking Agent 47 is a real person, and I didn't know that.
Yes, that does not apply to me. I do not know what that means.
It's from a game called Hitman, which is awesome, but he's real.
Oh, yes. We were talking about that. Remember I was telling you on the Scrubs podcast that Zach Braff was playing it, and he said that he was playing it and some people came home in the house that he was in, and he got scared and he killed everyone and he stopped playing the game. I was laughing so hard at that.
Yeah. Yeah, he's real, though. It's based on a real guy, and I guess he killed, like... Okay, so hear this. Okay, this is my last little shit
Here's my last rabbit hole.
So this guy, Alexander Solonik, he's like a very like prolific hitman, right? They made a game about him. He killed 43 people.
Wow.
He escaped prison multiple times, but he killed 43, and then fucking Kuklinski killed 200 people.
I was gonna say you can't touch Kuklinski's 200. Yeah, that's...
And every time he killed 1,200 people. It's
1,200.
After feeding them a hamburger.
If there was another doc and he hadn't died, he'd be like, I wouldn't say it's less than 500, but I don't remember.
It was definitely around 2,000.
It was no less than 10,000, but I could never be sure. I couldn't be sure too.
I know. Like, more or less like 3 people, but it was definitely around 10,000.
So, if I could just go off on a tangent for a second, I wrote down some, and I don't know if you did too, I wrote down some of the YouTube comments after that video of just, like, people observing Richard, and I thought that they were so funny, I wanted to just kind of laugh about them. So, I told you about the toothpick one, and that was... spot on. I mean, spot on. I remember when I first started watching the doc, I was like, is this guy chewing gum? Someone tell me. Is he chewing? I was by myself, and I'm like, someone tell me if he's chewing gum. I don't get the dramatic, like, talking that he's doing right now. So one of the things we didn't talk about, and again, this is probably all bullshit because it came from him, but he supposedly was hired to kill this guy, and a guy comes up to a peephole in the door, and he shoots him through the door hole. Did you hear this one?
I don't remember.
Okay, probably. Well, so he apparently, whatever. But he's describing it in the doc, and he's like, yeah, he had it was a nice door, an expensive door. And, like that's the part of the detail of, like, the murder.
I remember that.
And so someone in the comments was like, it was a nice door, it was an expensive door, and they're laughing, and he's like, he doesn't miss a thing. This guy sees beauty everywhere. And then another one he talks about, on Christmas Eve, this guy owed him $1,600, and he goes to kill him in the car, and he had a wad of cash in his pocket or whatever, which I guess in this case I'm asking myself, if this guy actually had the money, why wouldn't he just pay it if he knew how dangerous this guy was? But he was like, no, man, back off, I'm not going to pay you tonight. Anyway, Richard allegedly shoots him in the head or whatever, and then he takes the $1,600, puts the money back in this dude's pocket, just $1,600, and then he leaves. And so someone was like, he only took $1,600 owed to him in the dead man's pocket on Christmas Eve. No more, no less. Now that's an honest guy. Which is so
It's a
funny.
true Christmas spirit.
Like, it's the Christmas spirit. That's exactly what it is. And someone made a comment about how he called Mr. Softy extremely crazy, and they thought that was so funny because it's coming from this guy, is the irony behind that. And then someone said, the interviewer, how many people did you kill? Richard, approximately. That's all it said. Just every time, approximately. This one was my absolute favorite. The money I would spend to see Richard in the club dancing in that outfit.
Oh my god.
I would too.
Somebody make a cartoon, an animated version of that.
Oh my god. Please just tag us in that or send it to us, something. I would die to see that. And then we already went over the undercover one, which that was probably my whole favorite thing. Just that guy talking. I could listen to it for a couple hours straight.
Oh my god.
So
god.
ridiculous. And then, what
you fucking do?
What the fuck? Sorry, Mom. And then someone said, nothing like old Richard's sweet voice to put me to bed. And I wrote next to that Psycho, because anyone that thought that guy was had some sort of melodic tone to his voice is absolutely insane. And I hate you just as much as I hate Richard.
I like how you tap your papers and that's that.
And that's how I feel about that. I wonder in post-production how loud this will be next to the microphone.
I know. I'm hearing just you in my headphones. I can't wait to get your audio.
Oh, I'm sure
also,
it's terribly loud.
The amount of times I've punched my fucking microphone, it's gonna be fun. Because I talk with my hands, so I'm like, ah!
My chair is so creaky, and I was wondering if that's been picking that up. So I'm sure there's, and then my glass before had a metal straw in a glass, so I'm sure there's just sounds all over that you're gonna have to play around with. So I'm sorry.
Well, it's perfect because Kuklinski had his toothpick, and we have all of our little noises. So
maybe someone will like to hear our old voices. Our old voices, not old voices, and it'll put them to bed. Our old voices.
I've got an old voice. All right.
No, you don't.
So, are we good?
Yeah, I think that's the completely misinterpreted story of Richard Kuklinski, also known as the Iceman for some reason.
Oh my god. That's gonna be the name of this episode. The completely misinterpreted.
100%. Do you need to write that down? Because I'll write it down. I'm gonna write it down.
Okay. Yeah. I'm so happy.
I love it. What did I say? The completely
Oh, I could see my audio's just been clipping this whole time.
Oh no, what does that mean?
No, it's good. I'm gonna have to turn it down because I'm literally screaming into my microphone right now, so...
Alright, I wrote that down. Alright, well then so we wrapped it up. That's the story of Richard. Please, like we said, let us know if we were incorrect about facts. Let us know how you feel about certain stuff. I mean, that's... let us know how many facts we were incorrect about. Let us know. And then, yeah, I think we just wanted to, since this was our first episode, describe kind of what this podcast is going to be like. So, Sam, why don't you describe it a bit? I'll kind of feed off of you.
Yeah, so each month we're going to kind of set each week up a little bit different. So first week, obviously, we're going to talk about a real life serial killer or hitman or whatever we're going to talk about.
Not specifically a hitman.
Killer.
Any serial killer.
Yeah. I mean, we could, because apparently I found...
Dustin Hoffman is up
anyway.
next.
Hashtag Dustin Hoffman, sponsor us. This isn't even funny anymore.
It's not. I feel like to anyone else
okay.
It's not. Go ahead. Tell them what it's about.
Alright, I'm sweating. Okay, so first episode, we're going to talk about serial killer or killer real life. So next week, we're going to focus on the movie that was made about that killer. So in this case, next week we're going to watch Iceman.
I think it's just called The Iceman,
with Michael Shannon, and I guess Chris Evans is in it. So
yeah, there's a whole bunch of
people
people in that one. Yeah, Chris Evans, in case anyone wants to watch, it came out in 2012. Yeah, Renona Wider. Renona Wider. That's her alter ego. Winona Ryder. And
Winona Ryder.
Winona Ryder.
She's in it. She plays the Iceman. And
Ray Liotta is also in it. But yeah, it came out in 2012 if you want to watch along, because that's what we'll be talking about next week.
Yes, watch it so that you know we can butcher that too. So next week we're gonna the second week of the month we're gonna watch the movie based on the killer. Third week we're just gonna watch a movie based on some kind of story based in truth. So what I was thinking we could do is ghost stories, urban legends, spooky events that have happened.
Yes.
And we're gonna watch a movie based on that. So we're not gonna do a two-parter like we do with the serial killers, but it should still be pretty fun. And then fourth week, this is my favorite. Marissa and I are each gonna pick a horror movie that we like and then flip a coin.
Yep.
And we're gonna... Don't do it. We're gonna flip a coin, and whoever's movie wins, we're gonna just watch it. And it can be any horror movie. We just like talking about, like, kind of fucked up shit. So it'll be
we also
serial
like torturing
killers,
each
ghost
other.
stories, urban legends, horror movies.
Yeah, and we also like torturing each other, so Sam's picks a lot of the times are just because I think she secretly hates me, but that's okay. and just to clarify, on the third show of the month, we will be flipping the coin on air, per se, to tell you which movie we're going to be watching, who won the coin flip, and which movie we're going to be watching, so stay tuned for that, because we'll tell you each week as that goes. But yeah, that should definitely be interesting because Sam's got some movies up her sleeve that I would never voluntarily watch. So we're gonna see. You'll get to.
No, I could get really fucking weird with it, but I won't. I promise.
I know you could, and I would hope that I would hope we don't have to use our code word.
Our safe word.
But it'll be interesting because, again, like we've said like 30 times throughout this, we have very different personalities, so things that Sam would probably never tolerate in a movie, in a real life situation that happens in a movie, I would probably be like, I get it. so we're definitely gonna get to see each other's views on pretty popular movies, or in this case, unpopular movies that, again, I would never watch.
They're popular to my people.
And
alrighty.
And just as a side note, this probably won't be one of our first couple ones, but I think at some point in time we will be talking about The Happening, because Sam did show me a podcast recently. It is the horror show, right? Is what it's called? The horror show podcast, she just got me into recently, and their Happening episode, you should check it out. It's hilarious. The movie itself is very questionable, but we will be talking about that one day because I was one of the few people that liked it in the beginning, as embarrassed as I am to say. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That was our first episode. Yeah, and this was so much fun. We decided to do this because
like and subscribe.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We wanted to do this because this is what makes us happy, but we would love to know that you guys like it too, and leave us comments or definitely subscribe, and we'll keep you posted on the next episode. Keep an eye out for Sam's art for the next episode because it's amazing. And if you enjoyed listening to this chaotic rambling, then we'll see you on the next episode.
Yay, see you then, guys.
See you then.
Cue the music.
Bye.